What's going on, guys? It is Murderink here, back with another Champion Spotlight video. Today we're going to be talking about the Void Legendary Ursuga Warcaller. She is a HP based Barbarian Legendary. Really cool kit, a lot of kind of new things to the game that are going to be discovered here today. And the first thing I want to look at is, look at Ursuga's base statistics here. So we have 23,000 health, 1500 defense, 108 base speed, lower threshold of crit damage, 50 base resistance. That's a lot of stats. So I'm currently in Gold 4 Arena, so I don't have that Platinum bonus or the top bonus, but just briefly looking at the stats I do have here on the screen, we're looking at 72,000 health, 81% crit rate, 227 resistance, 5,100, almost 5,200 defense, and 173 speed. Now, alone that might not be as top quality as I can do, however, we're actually wearing stalwart gear. Now, this champion is literally unkillable in the sense where she's not applying the unkillable buff, but what she can do in this game as far as protecting your allies is second to no other champion in this game. So if you do want to use this champion, I highly recommend using the masteries I'm going to show you on the screen here, and we're going to use something that most people have never seen or used before. Mastery called Bulwark decreases the damage all allies receive by 5%. This champion will receive that damage instead. So this is kind of like adding ally protection to the champion with the mastery on top of what she already has with that ally protection. Now that I kind of showed you what I would recommend for masteries when using this champion anywhere besides Clan Boss, let's go for her skills, what she can do. She does have an A1. She has that chance to place block cooldown skills on the target for one turn. I don't think this is huge, but if you can get away with using some accuracy on this champion, this is definitely going to be a big help, especially if you can run some type of counterattack in any content you are doing with Ursuga as part of that roster. And we have an interesting A2 here, placing a decreased crit damage, decreased attack buff, or a decreased speed and a decreased defense stuff with some conditions. Those conditions being targets whose attack is higher than defense or attack is equal to or lower than defense. So this is really cool synergy, and the buffs are pretty good. They're not insane, but once again, kind of an added bonus if you did decide to use accuracy as opposed to just having an A2 or an A1 that can benefit from accuracy. Both of these skills can in fact be helpful to you if you do decide on making that call to throw on some accuracy on this champion. Now we have our A3 here, which is the strongest ally protection in the entire game, simply because of that strengthen debuff. This is a 3-turn cooldown once fully booked, and as we can see here, ally protection with strengthen. Strengthen is the strongest defensive cooldown in the entire game for Arena and for Clan Boss, simply because it reduces all damage you take, and this is something that is not affected by an ability like Defense Down, as opposed to increased defense buff, where it literally just increases your defense, and then a defense down applying on top of that, it will even things out. Defense down actually will make you take increased damage, however it does not diminish any effect from this strengthen buff, which is why I call it the strongest defensive in the game. Now we have a passive here, as if she wasn't good enough, decreases the damage all allies receive from critical hits by 30%. This champion will receive that damage instead. So now we have ally protection, we have bulwark mastery, and we have this passive all routing, all damage to this champion. And I can tell you that I've brought her all the way to platinum. I faced some of the best Trundas in this entire game, and they were unable to kill my Duchess with Ursuga on the same team, soaking up all of that damage to where Duchess could simply just revive the remaining 3 players of my team right after that Trunda gets a turn, which allows me to get a turn with all of my champions. And it's a really good stall defense. She's a really good stall defense champion, but she's kind of going to be the, I guess, poster child for a go second team, since you have the greatest chance of surviving that initial wave with this champion as opposed to any other champion in the game, including Seeker, who probably held that title before Ursuga actually came out. So now let's take this team for a spin. Let's see what we can do against this first arena team here and see how much damage we can actually mitigate with this new Void Legendary. They're going to go first, obviously. and we are going to lose. Okay, so we didn't get the double hit, so it wasn't the best showing of what this champion can actually do. However, we can simply revive our champions here. We're going to get hit with some incoming damage. We did get the stun, as I just mentioned, which definitely wasn't ideal, but we'll see what's going to happen next. Let's boost this turn meter. Let's go ahead and hit Arbiter here just to see if we can get that kill. Now we will use our A2 from Duchess. And I'm not really worried about surviving since Duchess is going to be fine. So let's use this A2 here. So not a ton of damage. She's obviously not built for damage, and from what I've heard so far, she doesn't do a ton of damage, although I would rather test that to make that conclusion for myself. Let's try to get Provoke. I don't think I have any accuracy on the Seeker here, so pretty much we're just cycling through until our Duchess can in fact revive again. And okay, so she should die here, and we need one more turn rotation. So let's see if we can actually survive now that Ursuga is in fact dead. Okay, so Swift Parry, as we can see, really coming to the rescue here. We probably would have lost this if it wasn't for that Swift Parry proc. So this match was still lost, unfortunately. Obviously, this is meant for a stall team, as we just saw here. If I left this simply on auto, it probably would have taken this team, I want to say, at least 50 seconds to defeat this team, which is going to be Ursuga's actual role in a team like this. If you wanted to go for a winning offensive team, you would not be running Duchess, you wouldn't be running the Fusion, and you wouldn't be running Seeker here. This was basically to show you, since the defense log won't show you the time it takes, how long it takes an enemy team to actually beat your team. And that's going to be key if you are trying to stay in Platinum, stay in Gold 4, and honestly, if you have this champion in Silver or below, you're pretty much going to be unstoppable if you can pair together the right combo for this team. So now we are going to use a more offensive team with Ursuga in the roster to see how she can do against these champions here, what we have to offer. So no stuns went out, thankfully here. To use that Veil buff, we're going to use these Ally Protection and Strengthen, which is going to be absolutely huge for the rest of these champions here. We have Arbiter out of the way. And just keep this in mind, look what we've survived already with Ursuga here. 4 turns total, 2 turns from each, Trunda as well as Folly. As most people know, and as mentioned, the best damage dealers in the current meta at the moment for Arena. So that's what we're working with. Let's just throw an A1 here, get those double hits on. Now we'll be looking to clean things up here and throw this on auto. We have the revive coming out. We have Ursuga protecting once again, and the final turn is going to end it here for this team, making this such a strong go second team. Now, this is the perfect example of a team where if this team can do it against probably the best team you could probably face as far as offense goes, it's going to do incredible against other teams that don't have someone like a Trunda and Folly on the same team. Now, there is the point of saying, what if they have a defense down? And if they do have a defense down, you can use something like a shield set to counteract that defense down, since it's going to be extremely difficult to kill every single player, especially someone who's a reviver on your team with a defense down, unless it's a Madame Ceres. That's why I said use a shield set. It serves 2 purposes. 1, it gives everyone more health, and 2, it makes sure that Madame Ceres is baited into using that A2 on offense instead of stripping all of the buffs, which is going to prove much more beneficial for you. So now that we showed you that team, let's show you what we can do against a Blender team here. Blender being the trademark of speed farming, very common to see lots of teams with this. So as you can see, Duchess literally took 0 damage. I mean, she took a little bit, but still it's kind of incredible to see here. And Ursuga actually served her purpose. Now we can go ahead and kill this Arbiter, and we're going to be able to revive Ursuga here, putting that heal on everybody else. Let's counter with this A2 here. And once again, just tons of damage, lots of survivability. Let's go ahead and kill. Don't really need to use the A3, but let's do it anyways. We'll put that kill on Senesha. And we'll go ahead and A1. See if we can. Okay, we couldn't kill her. Let's use this AoE here. 22,000 damage on a Skull Crown. It's not a ton of damage. She definitely has no defensive stats, which is why it hits so hard. But Another good example of how to counter a blender team, Ursuga is probably the key there, as she's going to take so much incoming damage onto herself, providing a huge cushion for the rest of your team. Now the question remains, she's good in arena, we saw that, we understand her kit, where else can she be good? If you pulled this champion and you were in progression, you are going to have a much easier time. We have champions dying all the time, left and right. This is now a Void Affinity champion, not going to suffer from weak affinity from any single dungeon in this game. And now you have someone who provides that same role that I've gone over in the arena, where she's just providing this huge cushion for your whole team, making sure they survive, they get through. I highly recommend using Stalwart gear on this champion. While she may not be able to heal up as efficiently without running something like Lifesteal, Stalwart is incredible with champions who have ally protection. The synergy is actually fantastic. And while there is always that single target threat to this champion, this is why you can choose to, if you want, use some type of revive champion. Make sure if Ursuga does fall, here's a way to get back up. Someone like a Cardinal's fantastic, even someone like a Gorgorob. The options are pretty much endless as far as what you can do with this champion here. And if you build her the same way I built her, keeping in mind how insane her base stats are, just to show you one more time, the fact that I got these stats with the Stalwart gear, giving up 4 pieces and 2 set bonuses that I could have used for HP or for defense, just goes to show you the insane possibilities this champion has based on her incredible base stats. Now, very briefly going over Clan Boss, since I kind of want to dedicate a separate video for Clan Boss with this champion, since as mentioned this is going to be the strongest defensive cooldown in the entire game. If you want to use this champion in Clan Boss, you're not going to use the masteries I showed you, you're going to use the typical War Master masteries. For this champion here, I would highly recommend running 0 accuracy and not looking for applying the attack down and decrease crit damage. The Clan Boss's attack is in fact higher than their defense, so you won't be placing that defense down, you will be applying attack down and decrease crit damage onto the Clan Boss. And even though it is a 3-turn cooldown and you don't need attack down for the slam on the Clan Boss, since it is not an attack-based ability, her kit would serve everyone much better if she was not using accuracy at all, simply focusing on that A3 and that passive. Now the passive is actually a lot bigger for the Clan Boss than most people will realize. A lot of people get really bad RNG where they're randomly crit by a target and it absolutely ruins their run. This is kind of like crit protection. Even though crit has a very low chance of happening as far as the Clan Boss, it can absolutely kill a champion or wipe your entire team in the later stages when you're really trying to push for that next key threshold. So this is another fail-safe that Ursuga has in her passive, and why I really want to highlight this champion in a separate video, really showing you how she can shine in a Clan Boss setting. Now, while she doesn't apply that defense up, you would definitely want defense up in any type of Clan Boss team with Ursuga to kind of round things out much better. But unless you're extremely endgame, she's probably the most plug and play champion in this entire game right now, just because her base stats are so strong. What her kit actually does is so strong. It's going to be very hard to find a place where she isn't going to be beneficial to you if you have in fact pulled this champion. Now, if you're going against this champion in the arena, definitely be careful on which champions you choose to counter this champion. Is, as mentioned, as I've already showed you, it's very difficult to kill her, and if she gets a turn and is able to use this A3, you better hope you have a debuff stripping effect ready for when she uses this ally protection, because if she can get this up, it's very unlikely, unless the person you're fighting is extremely undergeared, you have any shot of killing any of the threats on the team you're facing. Alright guys, that's it for my video. Let me know what you guys think about Ursuga Warcaller. I think she's a worthy Void Legendary. What do you think? Are you excited to test her out if you have her? Are you excited to face her if you don't have her? Let me know in the comments below. And also let me know on what you think about the A2 and the skills that have conditions based on the target's attack and defense. We're starting to see a resurgence of that in the new champions kits. Let me know if you like seeing it, if you don't like seeing it. I think it's interesting. I'm kind of half and half on how I feel about it overall. We know Abest was recently changed to have something like this as well. So as always, thanks so much for watching. If you enjoy this content, don't forget to subscribe, turn on the notification bell, and I will see you all in my next video.